I just finished Sarah Beth Durst's new YA cozy fantasy novel, The Faraway Inn, and I loved it. I'm so excited to sit down and chat about it, but first, in honor of the main characters learning to bake, I am going to get out of my own culinary comfort zones and whip up a chocolate cake. So stick around and let's get baking. In the book, Sarah Beth Durst doesn't give us an official chocolate cake recipe, or any other recipes for that matter, but I've done a little Googling and I found one that looks like it might be fun to try.
Kalisa is the main character of the Faraway Inn, and she's desperate to get her aunt to agree to let her stay for the entire summer, so she's looking for things around the inn that she can do to prove that she's useful to Auntie Z. So when she finds out that there hasn't been a cook at the inn for quite some time, she takes over making breakfast and starts preparing cakes and treats for tea. Kalisa's new friend Jack is really excited that she's taken over the job as a cook and she's producing all these sweet treats because he's been banned by Auntie Z from cooking in the kitchen ever since he accidentally set it on fire. I chose the chocolate cake to try because I've never made one from scratch before and I thought it would be fun. Chocolate cake also plays a significant role later on in the book when Jack and Kalisa visit the night market to look for Auntie Z. Chocolate is really hard to come by in this realm, and they use a slice of her chocolate cake to barter for goods and information on where Auntie Z might be. Before starting our cake, I'm preheating the oven to 350 degrees. Our dry ingredients include 2 cups of sugar, 1 3/4 cup all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup unsweetened cocoa powder, 1.5 teaspoons baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons baking soda, and 1 teaspoon salt. I'm combining all of the dry ingredients into the bowl of my mixer, and then I am whisking them all together. For our wet ingredients, I have 2 eggs, 1 cup of milk, a half cup of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons vanilla extract, and 1 cup of boiling water. Into my mixed dry ingredients, I'm adding all of the wet ingredients except the boiling water. I then mix at a medium speed for about 2 minutes. Once everything is fully combined, then the boiling water is added to the mixture. Once the boiling water has been added, the batter will be very thin. Next, I oiled 2 cake pans and sprinkled flour on the bottoms and sides to keep the cakes from sticking, and I divided our batter between both pans, trying to be as even as possible between the 2 pans. I baked the cakes for about 35 minutes each on 350 degrees. I left the cakes to cool in their pans for about 15 minutes, and here's where it all goes wrong. I think I could have left the cakes to cool a little longer before I tried this, and also I was trying to use 1 rack for 2 cakes, and that was not good. Hey, I figured that just like Kalisa in the book, I'm learning, and for the most part, this has been a fun process. My poor little cake. Oh no. I got the sad one transferred over to my cutting board and I tried to smush it back together, but it was not happening. It was just absolutely crumbling. I took a break from that mess and I made the icing. I used a half cup butter melted, 2/3 cup unsweetened cocoa, 3 cups powdered sugar, a 1/3 cup milk, and 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. All we needed to do to make the frosting was to combine all of the ingredients in the mixer. We just mixed it until we had a frosting-like consistency. Easy peasy. So with my second cake having crumbled into pieces, I did go ahead and whip up another one. I just halved all of the ingredients from before because I only wanted 1 instead of 2. I didn't end up filming any of the baking of the third cake. While it baked, I tortured our original perfect cake by leveling the surface so I could use it as a base for the one that was currently in the oven. Give me a minute. I'll make a disaster out of this one too. I am not a professional baker by any means. And there it is. Whoops. I think the moon has smaller craters. It's okay. We can just, put the hunks back in and pat it back together. It's fine. It's fine. We'll just put some frosting on top of it and no one will notice. Actually, the view from here is not so bad. It's actually looking pretty level. Look at that pretty little cake. And this is the part where I just start covering it with icing to hide all of our sins. This will be the inside layer of the cake. Once we take the other one out of the oven and it cools, I'll put it on top of this one and we won't see any of this mess. The inside of a cake doesn't need to look pretty. This is fine. The new cake is out of the oven and it passes the toothpick test. I'm nervous though, so I'm just going to let it sit here and cool completely. All right, the new cake is cool, and here comes the moment of truth. Yay! It's in one piece. Oh, she's so pretty. And that one's just leaning to the side a little. It'll be fine. Stick the new cake on top of the old cake, and I am not going to try to level this one, even though I probably should. A quote on page 160 of the Faraway Inn says, "In the sitting room, Kalisa set the cake on the table with the mosaic of pebbles. Her concoction looked lumpy and amateurish on the elegant table, but it was incontrovertibly cake. I feel like my cake truly honors the spirit of this book. It's lumpy and a little amateurish, but it is incontrovertibly cake." The cake might not have looked like much, but it was delicious, and now I'm trying not to be a goblin who eats an entire cake in one sitting. It's a struggle.
I don't normally pick up young adult books, and I've had a little bit of a hit or miss issue with cozy fantasy, but I saw the cover of this book at the store. I saw that it was by the author of The Spell Shop, and I just threw it in my cart without even reading the blurb. It's been sitting on my shelf for a couple weeks and I just got around to picking it up, and I am so glad that I took the chance and just grabbed it. So the Faraway Inn follows our main protagonist, Kalisa. She is 16 years old in the beginning of the book, and she lives in Brooklyn with her two moms. She has her whole summer planned out. She has a really cool boyfriend and she has a summer job set up. So her plan is to work at the job, save money, and spend time with her boyfriend and her friends. But she ends up finding her boyfriend has cheated on her and her whole summer just falls apart. So to get her out of the house and to hopefully change her outlook on things, her mom suggests that she go and spend the summer with her great Auntie Z, who runs a bed and breakfast in Vermont. The moms and Kalisa haven't been out to Vermont in many years, not since Kalisa is 5 or 6. So her memories of this are very positive. She remembers it being a very beautiful location with lots of wildflowers and, very beautiful and idyllic place to visit. But when she gets there, the porch is so rotted that she ends up falling through it, and the whole place is just in disrepair. The paint is peeling, the grounds are overgrown, and she finds out that the bed and breakfast's staff has been reduced to just one boy that is a little bit older than her, whose name is Jack. Auntie V decides that she just really wants Kalisa to go home, and she tells her that she has to leave the next day. Kalisa does convince her to let her stay for another 3 days instead, and in that time, she decides to make herself useful so that Auntie V will let her stay. She starts befriending Jack and helping him with his chores and cleaning up around the place. And then she also starts cleaning rooms and learning to bake for the guests. While cleaning the front room of the bed and breakfast, she does inadvertently cause a magical tea set to start brewing tea on its own again, which really freaks her out. She decides that it's a battery-powered tea set, or that Auntie Z or Jack is messing with her. But as time goes on and Carlissa manages to convince Auntie Z to let her stay longer and longer, she realizes that there is something going on with the inn and it's not all what she thinks it is. There is a lot of magic going on and the guests are clearly not from this world. She also figures out that the inn is in danger of closing and she really hates this idea. Even though she's only been there a few days or maybe a couple weeks at this point, she really loves the inn and the guests that are there, and she doesn't want anything to happen to it. So she's really trying to work with Jack and Auntie Z to find a solution to save the inn, but Auntie Z is very adamant that she doesn't want any help and she doesn't want Carlissa to get involved. She just wants her to go home as soon as possible. Unfortunately, at some point, something happens to Auntie Z and she's missing. So Carlissa and Jack start to work together to see if they can find her, as well as Jack's father, and find ways to save the inn, while also trying to learn how to manage the inn and run the day-to-day activities and help the guests along the way. There is so much about this book that I just absolutely loved. I love the world building that Sarah Beth Durst does, and I really enjoyed all of the characters in this book. All of the characters from the other realms are just delightful, and it is so much fun to get to know them. The guests are just really quirky and fun. I really loved the different personalities and the different types of guests. There's also some quirky things about the inn. There is a mirror that talks and it's very snarky. It's a very snarky mirror. I love the mirror so much. The one that I like the least maybe is Carlissa herself. She does do a lot of decisions that just feel a little bit questionable. Auntie Z has some very specific rules and she's not supposed to ask questions or open doors because the doors are the portals to other realms. And Carlissa ignores both of those things quite frequently. But otherwise, I guess we wouldn't have a book. It was just all around the perfect book for what I needed at the time. It's the middle of July and I've been in a little bit of a reading slump. I burned through about 25 books in June, and ever since, I've just not been as into reading as I want to be right now, especially since I just started this channel. So it was really nice that I just started it at random, and then from the first chapter, I was completely hooked on it. There's not a ton of action. It is a cozy fantasy book, so it is a fairly lower stakes. But again, that was just what I needed at this particular moment in time. I just loved being able to disappear into this book. I loved the kind of Narnia-esque idea of having closets transport you to other worlds. It was just a lot of fun, and I will definitely update my Goodreads for this book and give it 5 stars. The only thing that I can say is that, like the Spell Shop and the Enchanted Greenhouse, Sarah Beth Durst gave us some incredible, yummy sounding food, but then at the end we didn't get any official recipes to try. So if she could combine her Spell Shop world with the Faraway Inn and come up with a cookbook for us, that would be so cool. Thank you so much for joining me and Winston while we chatted about our thoughts about the Faraway Inn. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again on the next one. Bye. Winston, wave bye. You're a good boy. You want to go nap now? Okay.